All right, welcome to Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. Now, Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has condemned the unprovoked attack on Akbuna village in Mbaterem in Ukum local government area of the state by suspected hoodlums. And according to the statement made by Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Teso Kula, scores of people were killed when the armed hoodlums attacked the community on Saturday. Aliyah received the news of the attack with shock, adding that he was disheartened to hear that innocent residents had been attacked and murdered in cold blood for no just cause. Now, it said the governor expressed total displeasure over what he described as a heinous crime and a grave sin against God and mankind, indeed. Meanwhile, in neighboring Plateau State, the Magavel people, natives of Mango local government area, have, for their part, chastised the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, for turning deserted communities into grazing fields and hunting grounds, to displace more people with the aim of taking over the land. Now, some are blaming Miyetti Allah, some are blaming what you would call Fulani headsmen for this. Miyetti Allah themselves have come out to say, look, this is not what they are about, and they are not the ones behind it. But question remains, who then are those behind it? Cattle rearers they are for sure, but are they part of Miyetti Allah? Now, the leadership of the tribe addressed journalists in Jos this weekend, and they did refute the claim by MACBAN that the operatives of Operation Rainbow, a state-owned security outfit, and their members in Mango, they refuted those claims there. Well, I have joining me in the studio to make sense of this killings and other happenings around the country. I have with me a political affairs commentator, an educationist, Mr. Adebayo Orisha-Jolomi Moses, Mr. Moses Adebayo Orisha-Jolomi. Well, welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you, Moses, and an apt and brilliant.
My namesake.
Yes, a brilliant prologue. Only that the paradox is that it's not a very, very happy time at all.
No, it's not.
It's almost a fixed thing in the headlines now, and you begin to think this is a deja vu. When next, or when is the next attack going to come up? And it seems protracted, convoluted. Where is the source, or what is the source of all this?
What is their motive?
What is driving them?
That's a question in the heart of a lot of people.
Because going by what Governor Hyacinth earlier just said, it's unprovoked. Is it a reprisal? Is it a claim of superiority? And over time, I've thought of it. When you consider security breaches or insecurity, if you put it that way, you think of what exactly is the nature. Is it about communal clashes? Is it headers, farmers, as we've come to know? Or is it banditry or outright terrorism? Because proper identification will give you reasons to know how to tackle them. If I go with terrorism down, to tackle terrorism is not just going to be an overnight thing.
So you think the issue now should be properly
identifying what nature of crisis we have on our hands.
Otherwise, call it ethnic cleansing.
I'm careful when it comes to giving terminologies, because over time you may as well end up trying to treat ringworm while you are medicating on tapeworm. They both have the worms as their surname, but then they have different ways. The ringworm, for example, let me go biological a bit, it has a symbiotic relationship with the host. That is, there are some things it does right to help the host as
beneficial,
well.
okay.
And are beneficial, thank you. And there are some things it gets from the host as well. Whereas the tapeworm is not symbiotic, it is parasitic. In the sense that it's only there to leech on you, to destroy you, not be giving anything back to you. So if you probably identify what is the very nature of this crisis, what is the motivation, what has made it linger for so long, who are those behind it? Because you don't just find a masquerade dancing in the midst of the market. There must be someone drumming. So when all of these things are identified, then it becomes almost very easy for there to be solution. I remember Obama, when he was going to really take on the terrorist Al-Qaeda network, he said out that, of course, they were going to just decimate, degrade, and destroy. These are not just mere nomenclature. Decimate them starts with, it was the starting point, degrade them, then destroy them. So he understood exactly what they were fighting. He understood what they were taking on, and he swung into action. And today, Al-Qaeda has been put out of business. Yes, from Al-Qaeda, another level came up, the IS, but that's not our topic of discussion today. So if it's for our government, our community leaders, our agencies, and even residents, locals, it's incumbent on them to understand exactly what are we fighting, what are we dealing with. Otherwise, we keep getting these bitter headlines. On a Monday morning, you want to hear that your stocks are rising in the market. You want to hear that your children are posting good results. You want to hear that Nigeria is making progress in all facets. When these are things that will always wake you up in the morning, then it's not good for the reading at all and the site.
All right then. Now, but let's look at the numbers now. Service chiefs have been appointed, and numbers seem to be rising. Numbers of people dying seem to be rising. In today's dailies, we saw 241 killed over the weekend. Now, if you now look at the numbers from May 29, like we tried to do this morning on one of our shows, if you look at the numbers from May 29 up until now, if we have accurate figures, we'll be going into over 1,000 people.
And that is catastrophic.
Now, when we just say over 1,000 people, it doesn't seem like...
We're talking of lives here.
We're talking
human
lives. We're talking human beings. We're talking human beings dying, killed.
Avoidably.
Some of them killed in the process of going to bury their dead. All right? Some of them killed in their sleep, in the sense that, they're sleeping and attacks happen, their houses are burned.
When they're defenseless,
and they
helpless.
die. Now, like the governor did say, it was an unprovoked attack, because nobody for sure can say why these attackers invaded the villages. Now, but what would you say? Would you say government has failed these people?
Many factors when it comes to security issues. Many factors over time, I've learned that will always contribute. It's a behemoth, leviathan, big, huge, massive, so that so many hands are involved to make them what they are. Failure of government is just, of course, a major one. You consider the community leaders, the opinion leaders, the people themselves. Let me take, for example, a student of mine that is the University of Lagos, I think 300 level now. In his first year, he had reason, he's from Borno State, Mohammed Aji, a student of political history in the University of Lagos. He had a reason to go back home to Borno. I think, I can't remember, very close to Chibok.
Okay.
And when he got there, he stayed there he intended to stay there for 2 weeks. But after a week, he came back. What happened? He said, he had to run for their life. Why? Did you offend anybody? Or were you doing what you shouldn't do? Anything untoward? He said, no. He got to know that even amongst residents, among locals, among people in his community, he found that some of them would rather lean towards their terrorists, their oppressors, than government. And he was alarmed. This is a huge paradox. These are people that kill you. You have to pay levies, taxes, just to go to farm. Yet you rather align with them. So
align with them in what ways?
Align with terrorists in the sense that rather than cooperate, because government had their agents on ground and they'll tell you information is key. Won't say anything, please inform us. But when they get to hear some of these terrible dealings of the terrorists, they rather stay put and not say anything to the government. And in
because
essence,
they don't trust the government.
Lack of trust. In essence, they cooperate with their oppressors. And he was now trying to reorientate them. No, these guys don't mean well. You don't cooperate with them. You have these people very close by. They're at hand. Let them know. But at the end of the day, he had to leave the place because he felt it wasn't safe anymore. And he knew it was just a matter of days matter of one information away, he may get killed. So he ran back to Lagos. Trust is a huge problem here. Trust deficit, government failure, community and their heads. Just as politics, any form of politics is local. Before it becomes a global thing, you must have your base, your grassroots base. So also is anything security. If, as they say, the wall is not cracked, the lizard will never penetrate, never. So it's now down to, from the very lowest level, that people that are most affected, because it's almost a regional thing in Nigeria right now. You mentioned Benue and Plateau in your prologue. Even Nasarawa is dealing with a lot of things. And all these states are contiguous and they are the north central region. It dovetails from Benue to Plateau, Plateau to Nasarawa. In no time, Kwara may feel some brunt. In no time, which other state now? Niger, because I was seeing 6 states in north central. And again, from May 29 till now, more than 1,000 precious lives have been wasted, needlessly, avoidably. Government, no doubt. And before I put all at the table of the federal government, because sometimes they act irresponsibly, I must also consider, what do our governors do with their security votes?
All right, now we know that, yes, that's a valid question. What do they do? What are they doing with the security votes? I was going to ask you this. You know that prior to the elections, prior to the presidential election and the state elections, there was some seeming peace.
True.
We heard less of the killings. I mean, killings continued, but it was less. It was a whole lot minimal. And it felt as if the perpetrators of these crimes relaxed a bit to say, okay, let us go and vote, or let us see who gets into power. And then after elections, there was a spike again. What do you make of that?
Well, you've almost given an answer all by yourself. The reason I have ever been cautious on other platforms, not to just be flippant in labeling, oh, this must be, that must be, no. It's obvious that there might be political undercurrents and undertones attached to these killings. If at the point they seem to have gone on break, I use that carefully, then you begin to put 1 and 2 together. Is it that there are some things they are asking for that they don't get, and because they fail to get this, whatever, they now go back to their vomit? They now go back to wreak havoc. Was it that they were paid or to abate what they were doing before elections? Is it that during elections or pre-elections, lives are no longer available for them to destroy? Because I say this and I feel so pained. So when you put all this together, then it begins to make a sense that possibly there are some political backers. Possibly there are some people of interest, because we can't be naive here and think that some don't reap from this evil. The fact that ammunition will be sold, they will get money from whichever source, tells you that there are reasons they want this to be perpetuated, to remain forever. So when election periods are coming, or when we have elections, it's obvious that so many office holders looking for re-election or wanting to be elected for the first time, who are possibly their backers, will tell you, for now, nothing at stake. So please sheath your sword, so that we get this thing on. If we eventually lose, because we can almost say that sometimes this is just a backlash. This is just a sour grapes. Somebody loses and he tells himself that this place remains ungovernable just because I didn't win. And you find all these traces. You need no soothsayer to tell you that this could be attacks born out of bitterness. If I don't have it, nobody will get it. It's a dog in a manger situation.
But some people have called it an ethnic cleansing, where a certain tribe or a certain kind of people believe that, look, they own the land.
That's why
they come in with their cattle and they say, look, it's not just about us doing business now. We don't just want to do business with you. We don't just want to marry you and then you marry from us as well. We want to own this land, because the truth of the matter is they have intermarried. And in some time back, I had a guest on one of our shows, on this show, where the guest said, yes, they have intermarried. And it got to a point where the ladies married to the supposed attackers had to leave at some point because they felt like, okay, you have continued to kill my people, I can't stay in your home. Some of them had to go back. But these attacks did not stop.
As I've said, it is just the proper thing to identify the very nature. If I'm to just give a vague answer, just in passing, to what happens in Plateau, they are quite different from what happened in Benue. For Plateau, it looks more like a header settlers issue.
Okay.
More of that.
Okay.
In Benue, it is more of maybe communal. Now, they intersect. You can't deny that. But if strictly speaking, you want to label that of Plateau and that of Benue, you get different things. Let Bono State come inside. I mean, be a part of our conversation now. You can't tell me that Bono State is not after terrorism. That of Zamfara is banditry. And with all of this naughty, K-N-O-T-T-Y, because I'm saying this right now, let them not take it for the other naughty. It's for government and every stakeholder to understand that this is the reason for this agitation. Plateau, unfortunately, Mangu local government now, is just an offshoot of what has transpired in Plateau State, especially since the dawn of democracy. I can trace this back to 1999 and even possibly beyond, before 1999. All that headers and settlers and indigenes don't see eye to eye. You give a point out that they've intermarried, and you feel by virtue of this there should be a kind of application. There should be a kind of we are into one another, because marriage is that very strong institution whereby other things pale into insignificance. Once we are married, then all swords are sheeted. Everything you because I'm married to this person, blood have intermingled. Then we can't afford to steal. We are no longer enemies. Let me just put it that way. But this has not been the case. So I see, as I've said, for Plateau, it's a case of indigenes and settlers. For Benue, that has to do with headers, and because whenever you hear of Benue, one expression that always follows will be cattle rustling. Do you hear that much in Plateau? Not really. So it tells you of their different but rainbow nature. How do we go about this? Again, all politics are local. All politics is local. Let me put it. Governments in those little communities, their local government chairmen, even their ward councillors, and by extension their state government, should be very much concerned. If it's an ego trip, please, lives are being lost. Nothing compares to when blood is being shed. Nothing at all. Is it political? To an extent, yes.
Okay.
Is it an ego trip or clash of communities? Who owns what? Yes. Is it government irresponsibility? Yes. Is it trust deficit? Yes. All these come together and they form a monster that we are yet to tame. A tameable monster, but we look away only for us to now react. Can we proact? Yes. Because some of these things are avoidable. Some of these killings are avoidable. But do we do enough to I was listening to someone who I can call a friend, a security expert, also like myself, if I choose to use that label. When he talks about Kano, Kaduna, you observe that in Kaduna it's always at boiling point, especially southern Kaduna. But Kano, you hardly hear anything about Kano. You know why?
Why?
The many ungoverned territories in Kano are well manned as against Kaduna State.
Okay.
The many ungoverned territories in Kano, as in there are so many expanse of land where people don't build anything, but those places are well as in fortified.
By who now?
By the government of Kano, in conjunction with the federal government, according to him. And well, as much as I will not take everything hook, line, and sinker, I choose to agree with the fact that since the result, as we say, the end justifies the means. If Kano enjoys relative peace, then there must be things they are doing right. How come the contiguous state of Kaduna is not enjoying the same?
Now, but we know that if we want to look at the security structure as it is now, Nigeria is complaining of lack of manpower.
Okay.
The police personnel put together, special forces, rapid response, the different units, all of them put together. The figures we have is about 371,000.
We're under police, clearly.
Under police. That's the point I'm going to now. Now, if we are under policed and there are parts of these states that are not that do not come under the where that you cannot govern based on the fact that personnel cannot reach some of these places because they are far flung. Now, should we now look at the states themselves, or the people bringing up vigilante groups, arming them, not just getting vigilante groups now? Should they now be armed to be able to protect themselves? Do you think that will help in any way?
On the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, maybe an emphatic no, and I'll tell you why.
The yes and the no.
When you consider the Bakassi boys during Mbadiduju, just about the dawn of our Fourth Republic, you consider the Egbesu boys, you consider even the OPC. At the point, government noted the idea of maybe harnessing and putting them as part of their security apparatuses. They tried them out on occasions, but these groups, they went haywire. The little equipment they had, they even turned it became a case of vendetta. Oh, OPC was not going to now man the streets, the wards and the avenues just because they want to protect lives. But they now use OPC to harass someone that possibly offended them. The most petty things. OPC now will harass you because you hold your neighbor. OPC will harass you because maybe your wife is even more beautiful than mine. It became so ridiculous. Same for Bakassi boys. They started quite well. They almost sanitized on each other because my younger brother then was serving somewhere in Anambra State. I'm talking of 2008, 2009. Bakassi boys, you could feel their presence. But in no time, petulance setting, jealousy setting, who is in charge, and before not long, they were decimated. And not thanks to the fact that when some of them were equipped, they started using that, they saw it as a national power, not to really confront the monster of insecurity, but they became enemies, who is now, it's a battle of who is superior. So, arming these groups, on the one hand, if provided they will face what they've been given the equipment for, but can you guarantee that all of the time? No. Why do you think the Southwest, what do you call, Amatekon, government, the federal government now, under Buhari, and even by extension to Tinubu, they remain quite iffy towards them, uncertain. That's why they can't commit much, because they've learned from experience that if we equip these guys, rather than face what they should face, they will now turn it to something else, and it will even aggravate an already bad situation. They will make it worse. That is why they are always very careful. I remember the immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom. He raised a rather brilliant, idea of getting some people trained in Benue State to also to some of the parts of Plateau and Nasarawa State, even extended a bit of Kwara State. But government easily sense, I'm talking to Buhari government then, they sense that if we equip these people you are coming in, they easily could tell that it will only worsen the situation, because many of them were not going to really face insecurity, protecting lives, but they will start facing one another. They will remember what you did to me 2 decades ago, and this is my chance. Now I'm well armed, I'll come after you. So that's why government, in their wisdom, will not easily accede to the idea that they should be equipped. Yes, government, again, the security structure of Nigeria must, in fact, to say must be reformed is understating it. We don't have that time anymore. It's almost become an anthem. We need community policing, state policing. This should have been done with overtime. We run a kind of government where we have 3 arms of government. We have 3 arms: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The executive at the federal level have the police at their disposal. The judiciary at their level have a level of protection from the police, same police, even legislative. How come at the state level you have the judiciary operating with almost little or no encumbrances? You have the legislative, same thing. When it comes to the executive, why is the executive at the state level, you still have to wait for one IG at the center who can as well? The commissioner of police in any state is not answerable to the governor. That is a sore point forever. Anything, security problems are always unannounced, impromptu, they just crop up. And if you have to tackle them on the spot, you need someone you can call on at any point in time to get the job done. But you call on your commissioner of police, who just have that label, commissioner of police, but does not by any means report to you, doesn't even regard you. He's still got to take orders from Abuja. and damage would have been done. Lives would have been needlessly wasted because the structure we operate is just too ineffective. Hence, we have all this.
Now, interesting that you mentioned the Commissioner of Police. Now, we do know that we have acting IGP Egbetokun. Kayode Egbetokun, and he did say that he, when he was given, when he spoke to the press after assuming office, he said, I'm going to try and use his words now, that he feels like a lion ready to devour, those perpetrating crime. Now, one expected that in devouring those perpetrating crime, it shouldn't just be thieves and fraudsters. It shouldn't just be internet fraudsters. So we should also look at those perpetrating things like killing people, insecurity, major insecurity, like in these places that we are beaming our searchlights on, the Plateau, Benue. We should see deployment of mobile policemen. Now, I know that we have then, because we've had reports that some few kilometers from where they are, they would have attacks, but by the time you leave that spot, and then you see a police checkpoint. But can't we have now, I'm talking now, a redeployment of policemen to these areas, especially the hinterlands where these killings are taking place, armed and instructed to bring peace to these areas?
Well, readily talk is cheap, but action is sacred. Let me put it that way. Maybe it's my well-respected, because I know him from a distance to an extent, Kayode Egbetokun. Maybe he was just being excited when he made that statement. But by your word, you'll be justified or ensnared. He's giving that to the public, and at the end of his tenure, I learned his acting, and maybe he doesn't have much time to spend as the IG. He will be judged by just this simple statement, which may end up as being carelessly uttered. I hope that will not be the case. He's got a good track record, no doubt. When he was in charge of RRS in Lagos, they did a very good job. Even handed over to Tunji Disu, who has done a very good job as well. If there is a professional arm of the police, I think RRS, they readily take one spot there. But this on a national scale, according to the UN, an average policeman should be in charge of 400 lives. But here, an average policeman in Nigeria is overwhelmed with more than 1,000 plus. So we are clearly under police. And even when you consider the manner of recruitment, you feel our police will never work. Why? You get people who possibly don't have passion to tackle crime. You only do it as political compensation. You do it to support a fight, to honor a godfather. You do it because you just want to appeal to the whims and caprices of some people. That's the reason many people get into the police. No wonder they misbehave when they get there. They don't understand anything, because there must be a passion. There must be that lingering passion. You just want to see things done right. And if you like that as a policeman, then you don't have any business there. But these are the people that make up the place. And as I've said, even at that, they are still under, they lack the numerical strength to tackle all this. Tunji may mean well, but it's one thing for you to have intention. It's another thing for you to have the power, the apparatuses, the wherewithal to carry out what you have in your mind. As I've said, he may be feel like a lion, but they can as well make him end up as just a dog, even less than a dog. Because if he doesn't get the job done, because he lacks all it takes to tackle them frontally and kinetically or non-kinetically, then it will end up as usual. They will only come and speak.
Okay, so
and they get nothing
now
done.
is there a possibility that government can have a meeting with these people? Albeit we know they are faceless right now, because we can't pinpoint a representative.
So you, they are faceless, not to people in government.
Okay.
So you, they are faceless, but not to people in government. You raise the point which I'm going to harp on again. How come that when a certain period loom, or it's coming, political period, to say these things look abated, they decline? How come? So to government, except government want to play the ostrich, they know those who are there. Is it because some are benefiting from it? It could be. You can't rule out that. Some people, the fact that there always be budget for buying of this, buying of that, they always want this to linger. They will run out of business if eventually these clashes are put a stop to. They will run out of business even if terrorism is curbed. Why will it be that even when Buhari, the past government now, had reason to buy the Super Tucano and what have you, even some Nigerians belly ache that you want to kill all of us? We all knew the problem. We all knew the monster ravaging our society in the name of terrorism and banditry. Here, the solution is very close by. Yet some people are complaining. So the point that those that sold the Americans and the West that sold the weapons to us now had to warn that you can't use these weapons just anyhow. You must probably identify, are you dealing with terrorism or just mere banditry? But what I'm saying is that even when solution is at hand, you still find some people who are against it because they must be benefiting from it. So the government will surely know. I still will, in a way, maybe still see the federal government. Let me put them aside a bit. I'll still tackle the state governors and the local government. They are not totally bereft of ideas. They are not totally lacking when it comes to wherewithal.
If you talk about the local government in Plateau State, we do know that some local governments have been toppled, basically name changed.
Are you talking of Governor, what's it now, Caleb Mufwang?
He just came into office.
Yeah.
Mufwang just came into office.
Yeah.
I'm talking about some local government areas in Plateau State that have been attacked, indigents chased out, the names of the local government changed. That's why for the issue of Plateau State, one will think of it as some sort of ethnic cleansing, because names were changed.
True.
For instance, let's say there is a place called Oshodi Solo, local government.
Just speaking hypothetically now.
Yes, hypothetically speaking. And some group come into Lagos and say, okay, this place looks good for us to reside in. And they chase everybody, both indigents and those that reside there, chase everybody away with fear and force, and they change it from Oshodi Solo to something else.
Yada. Look at
it could be anything. It could be anything. Now, would you say they are aggrieved? And if they are aggrieved, what would be the aggrievance? Or would you think, okay, these people just want to eradicate and clean up the history
now, let me
in this place?
You don't rule out all you said. It could be ethnic cleansing. It could be land grabbing. It could be historical, tussle, and on and on. But Governor Zulum of Borno State has set a benchmark for virtually all governors, present or even future. And even if you look back at the past, that even as a governor, you can still do something. He's not even dealing with just maybe local troubles now. He's dealing with full-blown terrorism, inter-country, ISWAP, Boko Haram, that have recognition over the world. And to an extent, he worked with the federal government, and they mitigated their power, they reduced them, they degraded them. So when some governors come out and tell you or make themselves appear so helpless, I don't totally buy into this. Nigerians occupy Lagos, or they live in Lagos. Nigerians live in Plateau. On the one hand, we are federal citizens, if I use that word. Also, as state residents, we are still citizens. No responsible federal government will lie low and look helpless and maybe leave their, because when they are sworn in, the first thing they say is they are to protect lives and property. So when the federal government should act, they can't act alone. The state government should be seen to be doing one or two things. As I said, Zulum, credit should go to that man. He had even a bigger fight to confront. And to an extent, in collaboration with the federal government, they've done something. Today, going by, before he came in, about 14 or 17 local governments in Borno State had the flags of Boko Haram well entrenched. But you won't find that in Borno State anymore. So what is the immediate past governor? What did he do? Solomon Lalong rather. And the new one now, that's Governor Caleb. What are they doing on their own part to ensure that, oh, we are putting our bit, and when the mightier force of the federal government come in, then we get these people almost out of business? But they don't seem to be doing enough. They don't seem to do enough. Even some communal heads.
Do you think it's too much for them to handle?
The whole gamut, if you consider it from the entire spectrum, yes. But if you balkanize it, can they do something? Of course, yes. They can nip some things even from in the board before they spiral into what they become over time. Because there is this sense of deja vu that this will happen again, and surely it will happen. You don't need to tell you that. But what are the state governors or even their appendages, their local, because most local governments are just they are just boys to the state government. What are they doing really? Do they care for the lives of people they govern? Because we can easily put everything at the table of federal government, rightfully so. But we are not just a one-tier type of government. We have 3 tiers: federal, state, and local. And they must work in collaboration. You must be seen to be putting in your own 2 cents.
But when you say the local government, local government does not have a power to commandeer the police force.
They don't have the power.
So what exactly can the local government do? Now,
with respect to, okay, let's say some of the roles they play. They are the ones in charge of markets. They take rates. They are in charge of all these local vigilantes, OPC and the like. Normally, they can work directly with local government areas or chairman. They can easily work with them. So in this case,
we don't have them in these places that we are beaming our satellite on.
It's unfortunate, but the local government chairman there can also swing into action.
Be formed? I asked earlier. Do you think they should form them a vigilante group?
Of course, I answered that question. Only that you went further by asking, should they be armed? That is where I have my question mark.
Okay.
Because arming them may as well make them go wild. Rather than chase the rabbit, they will focus on in the first place. They now start chasing after another antelope. So that's why. But should they be formed? Yes. And who are those that will supervise them? Who are those that will have direct contact with them? The local government chairman, the ward councillors. Because you are not going to recruit vigilantes that work in Benue from Lagos. It is going to be the residents there.
Residents, of course.
And once the government at the very center, once they sense that you are doing something, then it will, they won't have a choice but to double their own effort to ensure that things are done. They are not omnipresent. They can't see all things. No government is omnipresent. They are not ubiquitous. They are not everywhere at the same time. But if you are doing your bit, as I've said, Zulum has set a benchmark that no one will be excused now. No excuse is tenable from any at this. I may even leave out the local government, but no excuse is tenable from any state governor or state government. No, he had a reason. So he had what do you call them? All these camps, IDPs or what do you call them?
IDP camps.
Yes, but today Bono is no longer in the news as it was then, because you hardly hear people dying or being killed, being blown out of existence, because a governor who gets a security vote every month decided that, oh, this is not just for an Owambe thing, like some of them irresponsibly do. He swung into action, set up many security agencies, and they work with the federal government. And today, they've done something that you can really that is tangible. So other governments, state governments really, don't have any right at all to complain totally, because the more you complain, the more these people are empowered. They know that you are helpless, and they will easily prey on your people and destroy their lives. So they should swing into action, and the federal government will now come in. Federal government, I believe, are doing their part. Maybe perfectly, no, of course not. But if they have the people that are closest to where this crime is being perpetrated, if they work hand in hand, they'll get things done. Should our security agency be structured? Yes. We don't have to have one central police where the IG is one omni lord that you must get even the most petty of clashes. If I go by Baker, sorry, listener and viewers over the world, I remember after, for anyone that believes now, when Moses, let's say Moses now, okay, Moses, in the Bible, when he led Israel through the Red Sea to Egypt, for anyone that believes, as I've said, at the point, his father-in-law, Jethro, advised him, and good enough, he took to it, otherwise he would have died. He told him, the man was spending about a week thereabout with Moses. He observed that from morning, from about 7 a.m., because some version of the Bible put it so clearly, till about 10 midnight, 10 p.m. at night, Moses always answering one case after the other. The man now look at him and say, young man, you kill yourself. You can as well break this, partition them. Some cases should not get to you. Some should get to some people, put them in their 50s, in their 100s, so that it's only in very important cases. And some people have claimed that it is the reason many Western states, Western countries are what they are today. So that no frivolous case that has to do with one local setting gets to the Supreme Court. Never. They thrash it at their very magistrate court, their customary courts. It will not even get to the federal high court or the state high court there. So he advised us to do that. And he heeded the advice. Of course, we all know the story for those who read the Bible. Here too, security is not going to be one central thing. Tinubu or whoever is in charge at the center will not know everything. It's not God.
Yeah, but this knowledge is common to everybody. The fact that 40-something people, 200 and something people, 100 and something people are being killed. I mean, the president should be aware of this.
He's very much aware.
Should call to find out what is going on.
That is aware is one thing, but that
he's being briefed every day, especially as it concerns the security of lives and property.
As a matter of fact, he just appointed a security advisor, Nuhu Ibadu. Now, when it comes to security, let me even show off a bit of what I think I know. There must be what we call cooperation, then coordination. Some will say that there are 3 C's, but I'll just stay with coordination and cooperation. So coordinate is a step higher than cooperating. There must be cooperation at all levels. Okay. There must be cooperation from the very local, the basis, the smallest unit. There must be cooperation. And when they form an unbreakable chain, then coordination from the federal government will come in. If government wants to coordinate where there is no cooperation, they will only be laboring in vain. That the president or those at the center, they hear this, they are not deaf, they know what goes on. But even if they intended to help, their help will really not matter, because the cooperation base they should enjoy is not there. And that should come from the subunits, the federating units. If those are lacking, then there is nothing they want to do from the center that will truly be effective. We only get to hear that, but they tried, but nothing is. It's like pouring water in the basket. So there must be cooperation at those levels, those smaller levels. Then there will be general coordination at the center or from the center. Otherwise, the effort put in, Super Tucano, from what I've read, can wipe out almost the whole of Sambisa Forest in less than a month, if well applied. But can you just use Super Tucano arbitrarily? You can't. You don't even have to do that. You can never do that. There must be reasons for you to use them. So the federal might will only work effectively, justifiably. It will work to the point that we'll enjoy peace and don't have these gory headlines all the time. If there is cooperation at the base level, the basic levels, otherwise, whatever they do there, they may even end up hurting more than helping.
Indeed.
So we need all hands to come together. Do we restructure? Yes. Should there be a state police? I can advocate that 1,000 times. We can't have a state executive that will still have to depend on the federal executive for policing. It is incongruous. It doesn't make any sense. There must be state police, so that we don't have to take orders. We know the very nature of insecurity. They flare up. It's a monster that is hydra-headed. It has so many heads. You cut one head and that head rises. You cut the other head and thousands of heads. But when you have a very close apparatus that can monitor them before they germinate, then they can be handled easily. But when you have to still wait for the federal, the center to do it for you, then what damage would have been done? Lives would have been lost. I can imagine blood. I'm sorry, I'm a bit spiritual. I can imagine lives have been terminated in their prime, unduly, still crying for vengeance all of the time. And they don't make good for reading at all. They almost make you mentally sick. When is this going to stop? When is this going to end? Again, I hammer on this point. Let there be cooperation, enough cooperation at the local, state level, then there will be coordination from the federal level, and we'll get this job done.
All right, that's your summation of it all. Cooperation at the local level, and then coordination from the state level and the federal, and then this will be solved. Well, Nigerians cannot wait to see a stop to these killings, because it's really gory, that's to say the least. And it feels really heartbreaking when you pick up the dailies and you see figures of humans die. And if you put this in comparison to what happens in other parts of the world, where one person falls sick and there seems to be the whole nation is running helter-skelter. There is malaria here, or one person, you hear an American say, "Look, I'm an American. I know this."
Proudly so.
But we need to come to a a point where Nigerians can be proud. In these areas that we've talked about, we've seen people being attacked in IDP camps. You know, one would wonder, when will it end? When will they find solace? Where will they find it? When will they find peace? Chased out of homes, unable to stay in a camp that is not even a conducive place for anybody to stay. And oh well, your final thoughts on it. Should we consider your last words, your final thought on the show?
Well, you just scratch a surface right now. I remember a story in the I think 1996 to be specific. During the Bosnia-Herzegovina, those Balkanites in Europe, America, as usual, whether you invite them or not, because they see themselves as the global policemen, they bumped in. When they were leaving, after they felt they've done enough, just a soldier, just one, was missing. You know, it took the Clinton, but Clinton was in charge then, it took them close to $6 billion to get that soul, and good enough, he wasn't there. They brought him out alive, just one soul. So you see why an average American wants to die for America. Because he knows that whatever I've done will not be in vain. So the earlier we imbibe this concept of valuing Nigerians, because sometimes, as I posited earlier, the fact that you have some residents, some locals, even cooperating with their oppressors, only tells that they can't even trust government. And the fact that they can't trust government, this same oppressor will sit on against you and still kill you. But if they can trust government to the point that when we do this, our lives are safe, we will get this thing done, then an average Nigerian will be bold enough to raise his green passport anywhere that I am a Nigerian. I think this government should do something. Not only what, don't just feel like a tiger or a lion, act like a tiger. What Shinka said as I round off, the tigritude of a tiger is not in saying it, it's in the action. When a tiger acts, you know that a tiger has acted. So, over to you.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Moses Orisha-Jolomi Adebayo, for coming. The public affairs commentator and an educationist. Well, that's how far we can go on the show today. Political Voice will come your way again, same time tomorrow. I'm Moses Humphrey. Have a beautiful day.